Greetings, everybody. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. My name is Lily Willie. This is not yet my legal name, but it is the preferred name due to my gender identity. And my body this year will turn 39. But the emotional and social side of my brain turned 16 on January 7th of this year. Because I had a brain tumor in my right hemisphere by one of the main centers for emotional and social discernment, activity, and understanding. I just read and was appalled by the story of a British man whose mother was from Jamaica, Windrush, Jamaica, and brought him to the UK very young, to the point where he has no family remaining in Jamaica at all. In the Guardian article I read, this man is named Winston Jones, although it's not his legal name. And I read with pain and shock that this man had the rather despicable fortune of having had his right to remain in the UK challenged in 2014, just 4 years back, right after brain surgery. And the UK Home Office claims that as soon as it became aware of his case, it took every effort to resolve it. I want to open my mind, my mouth, and yes, my heart, and a portion of my life story to the UK Home Office. Because because I'm not entirely certain, given that according to the article I read, Mr. Jones has received no apology, according to him, and no discernible by him compassion from the UK Home Office. And I, as a brain tumor survivor who is yet neurodivergent and who has been fully only emotionally aware and here for 16 years of his nearly 39, wanted address the Home Office. Because this sirs and madams of the Home Office, I grew up here in the Pacific Northwest. My blood is half Hungarian and mixed British, and nearly all European. I want to tell you, brain injury is not your tea and crumpets. It's not a piece of cake. And it is absolutely not something with which you threaten potentially not just somebody's life, but their cognitive ability, their nervous system, potentially, depending on the hemisphere, their emotional, social, mental, and physical functioning. With homelessness, with not knowing right after a brain surgery, that was already in and of itself both potentially a lifesaver and a life threat. And get away without an apology. I'm going to tell you something about what the tumor I dealt with did to me. Mine, that I grew up with until age 22 and a half, didn't cause me any physical pain. What mine did was impair my emotional and social functioning. It impaired my ability to decipher, respond to, and correctly interpret body language. It impaired to the point of retardation my spatial ability and ability to judge distance. I only recently learnt from my husband Jesse in the most recent 6 months what 10 feet was. I watched him as he counted them out for me. Before then, I knew that 12 inches was a foot and that 3 feet was a yard. But I didn't know visually what they meant. To say that this impaired my ability to function at school, in certain areas, one of them math. Another one, physical education. In academic subjects at school also. Now fast forward to 2002. That's when the tumor that by then was stage 2 of 4 was removed from my brain. The people who operated on me at Oregon Health Sciences University estimated that it would take about 2 years for my brain to settle down enough that they wouldn't need to keep me on seizure meds, because the reason that they were removing the tumor in the first place was because it was believed by them that it was causing the psychomotor petit mal seizures I had growing up. Want to know one of the things that happened in those first 2 years? After one of my very first laugh attacks lasted for 2 fucking weeks. Pardon my Orcish. Yes, you heard that right. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That your fellow hominid being who lived and dwelt in your country, in your commonwealth, on your islands, in your territories, from his very younghood till now, was turned onto the streets by you right after a brain surgery, right after a surgery to remove an aneurysm, a type of tumor that can cause numbness, pain, blurred vision, among other things. I just checked. That you did that and threatened not only his livelihood and his life, but potentially everything, all of his functioning, potentially, that makes up his ability to have a personality you can recognize, his ability, depending on what part of his brain it was in, to pick up a cup, or potentially keep track of your questions, potentially his ability to respond appropriately to your questions. Did you know that if you have an injury to the correct portion of your brain, you can have it happen that you don't even have the ability to remember what was told you 5 seconds ago? Or that if your blood salts drop low enough, your short-term attention span and memory is impaired to the point that someone who told you something just a few minutes ago or sooner will have to remind you of what they just told you? You owe this person, whose name I read as Mr. Jones, Winston Jones, in your country's paper, The Guardian, way more than an apology. Way more than an apology. And I cannot emphasize enough how true that is. And I'm sure that everybody watching or hearing this who has ever dealt with a brain injury of any sort will confirm it. Sirs and madams of the Home Office of the United Kingdom, I bid you good day. I hope you take what I have shared with you today to mind, to heart, to conscience, and to soul, because you need to. Blessings, and may the peace you are open to be with you.